So I've decided this afternoon that I'm going to head up to a campground called 30 Mile Campground, and we'll see what that's like. Looks like it's a couple hours down this dirt road. I've always wanted to go out there. This is actually really far out in the middle of the forest, and it's close to the Canadian border, actually. But this is way out in the middle of nowhere, but I think the road's pretty good, so we'll see how it goes. If the road gets too bad, then we'll cut our losses and turn around and go back. Another nice thing about driving a smaller vehicle is that I can easily just turn around on just about any road. Also, this thing has a really good turning radius. I've actually spent a good amount of time at this campground before. It was last year, and I spent almost all spring, anytime I had free time, up in this area. And it's a wonderful place to stay. The scenery is amazing, and it's actually not that far out of town, and it has absolutely perfect cell phone reception. This year, seems like the area is a lot greener than it was last year. Last year when I was up here, it was probably 80 to 90 degrees the entire time, and all this grass was brown and dry. But this year, it's kind of cool, and everything is extremely green. I wound my way down out of the mountains through a series of dirt roads just north of Winthrop. This whole area looks extremely remote, and in some ways it is, but there's also a lot of houses and small farms out here, mostly owned by wealthy Seattle area residents. These are mostly second homes and vacation homes for them. So you can see it looks like this is one of the areas where the fire came through last year. We are definitely in fire country out here. Doesn't really matter what year it is, there's always fires out here. But last year was a particularly bad year. I'm also seeing a lot of just dead trees. So these are fire burned, it looks like. But there's a lot of these trees that are just dead from heat because it got so hot last summer. Oh, so we have a bear in the middle of the road. And it's watching me. I followed this Forest Service road down along a river for about 30 miles. Most of it was extremely well maintained and paved like this, although there were random patches of gravel in the middle of it and large potholes periodically. But still, overall, a very nice road. Alright, so we left the paved road. I'm actually surprised it was paved as far as it was out here. Looks like I'm still about another 5 miles away from the campground I'm headed for. So we'll see how this road goes, but so far so good. It looks like it's in good condition. So apparently 30 Mile campsite was the site of a fire, looks like back in 2001, which ended up all the way down here, it's a few miles down the road from it. Not entirely sure what makes this fire special. The sign really doesn't say other than there was a fire here, and this was one of the places where the firefighters stationed themselves to help contain the fire. But here's the river that I've been driving along for a while. Most of it's been rapid, so this looks like a nice calm part of the river here. But anyways, I'm going to keep heading up towards the campsite. We'll see if I can actually camp there. A lot of the campsites around here require Northwest Forest passes, which I don't actually have. At least in Eastern Washington, the odds of finding a campsite that doesn't require a Northwest Forest pass is much better, so we'll see. I couldn't find anything online really, and I'll just head up there. One of these days I'll actually get a Northwest Forest pass and we'll solve this problem. Well, that's interesting. Looks like there's a couple more plaques here about the fire. See what this is about. I see, so these plaques are just telling the story of what happened with the fire. So far we're in day 3 and the fire is continuing to grow, and we're at about 95-degree temperatures outside, which is pretty normal for summer out here, honestly. Let's see what this plaque has to say. Well, I guess that's the second part of the last plaque. So apparently this area is where they had a couple of fire stands. They were going around notifying people that the fire was burning stuff down. So it looks like at this point in the story, the fire is just continuing to grow. Apparently it turned from an entrapment fire into a wind fire. I'm not a firefighter, so I don't entirely know what that means. I'm not sure what's going on through this area, but it looks like maybe it was a flood zone or something and the road got washed out. And it's rebuilt now. A bit rough though. So apparently one of the fire crews got trapped up here with a couple of civilians. Sounds like they were hikers or something. And so they went up the hill there to try and stay out of the fire, but The fire was too hot, it was burning their fire shelter up on the hill. So apparently some of them made it down to the van on the road, which wasn't burning and was relatively safe, and a bunch of people jumped into the river to try to avoid the fire down there. So unfortunately, this story has a tragic ending. Apparently 4 of the firefighters died. One of them ended up with third-degree burns on his hands. Apparently, the civilians did make it out okay, and most of the other firefighters did as well, but still a very tragic end. And this happened in July, and if you ever wonder why I don't come out to this kind of area in the summer, this is the exact kind of thing why. Fires happen here all the time. There's a lot of irresponsible people who have campfires in this area during the summer, and it's just not safe. You should not be doing campfires out in the summer in this area. It's just too dry, it's too hot, and it leads to wildfires exactly like this. So you may also notice that I never do campfires in general, and that's one of the reasons why. Obviously, I'd try, if I had to do one, I would make sure I do it responsibly, but it's not worth the risk. It's, for me, I don't like the smoke in general, so I just don't do it. But yeah, watch your campfires, people. It's not safe. So I can actually see the campground on the other side of the fort over there. I'm not going to do that though. I have a brand new car, and well, aside from this random empty car that's next to me, there's really no one around, so I don't want to risk anything on my car, any electronics or anything like that. You know, maybe if I was traveling with a group of people, I would attempt that. I don't know how deep that actually is, though. I definitely want to check that out first. But I'm not going to do that today. Just way too much risk, so I'm going to turn around and go see if I can find a different campsite. Well, I tried to take a different route back, but apparently the road's closed. Well, the nice thing is, even though this is a relatively narrow road that, as you can see, my car is almost as wide as, because it's small and has a good turning radius, I can just turn around. No way I could do that with the bus. So that's really cool. I love that. Well, I decided to head back to the campground I started at. The other campgrounds either required a forest pass or they didn't have any cell phone service. And I have some videos to edit tonight, which is really good. I've been filming all day and most of the day yesterday, and I'll probably film a lot tomorrow as well. Having some internet to upload videos would be awesome. So that was a really interesting adventure today though, and a really good reminder of why I don't come out here in the summer. It's just too dangerous with all the forest fires, and I don't want to be putting firefighters at risk trying to save me. Just let them focus on containing fires and saving people's houses, stuff like that. On the plus side, I'm still really happy with the way my car performed out there. You can tell this car is designed for rough dirt and gravel roads. It just performs really well on those. And I couldn't be happier with the way it drives. And the fact that I managed to go all the way out into the middle of the forest in a vehicle that still gets, 35 miles per gallon, I really couldn't be happier with that. I'm also really happy that the operating costs for this car are low enough that I can just go kind of do what I want, film videos. I don't have to be stuck in a parking lot or a campground somewhere because I can't afford to drive it. It's just a really inexpensive, efficient way to get around, and this should be able to take me on a lot of really good adventures, I think. And also, I just passed the break-in mileage of 1,000 miles. So now it's red line shifts for every shift and full acceleration as much as possible.